Chatgerry, Methodology Reflection, Why I Study Trajectories Instead of Averages, Number 1482, VPT Sharp 043, December 28, 2025. Gerald C Hsu, EclaireMD Foundation. Category, Research Methodology. Executive Summary, a systems engineering view of chronic disease. Most medical research is built on averages. Averages are useful for describing populations, but they hide the very events that end lives. Stroke, heart attack, and organ failure are not average events. They are extreme failures triggered by brief overloads. My work applies a systems engineering mindset, using viscoplastopology, VPT, to study disease as a continuous stress-strain process. Instead of asking what happens to the average patient, I ask how and when a system fails. This shift changes what data matters and how survival is understood. Introduction. From academic question to survival requirement. My medical research did not begin as an academic exercise. It began as a survival requirement. After nearly 4 decades of metabolic disease, including obesity, diabetes, dyslipidemia, and repeated cardiovascular events, I realized that diagnosis time snapshots were not enough. Traditional medicine relies on isolated measurements. Lab results, clinic blood pressure, and annual checkups capture moments. These snapshots are essential for acute care, but they cannot explain how damage accumulates quietly over years, nor why a system suddenly fails. I view the human body as a continuous physical system. Blood is a moving fluid. Blood vessels are deformable solids. Together they form a coupled viscoplastic system, governed by the same physical laws that apply to engineered structures. Stress, strain, fatigue, energy accumulation, and irreversible damage all apply. Disease progression is not random. It follows physical laws. The blind spot of averages in failure analysis. Population studies depend on many sets of numbers and statistical smoothing. Variability is treated as noise. Outliers are minimized or excluded. From a statistical standpoint, this makes sense. From a failure analysis standpoint, it is dangerous. Bridges do not collapse because of average wind speed. Aircraft do not fail because of average load. They fail because of peaks, shocks, resonance, or rapid transients that exceed material limits. Failure is always an extreme case. The same logic applies to the human body. For someone with decades of vascular and metabolic damage, average blood pressure can look acceptable while the system is already close to rupture. Mortality events are not explained by the averages or mean values. They are caused by extremes. Studying one person continuously over a long time. This is why I adopted a personal case study with high frequency, longitudinal data. My body is my only laboratory. After my hemorrhagic stroke on June 31, 2025, I began collecting my blood pressure data at high density. Over 5 months, I recorded 11,769 measurements. Each day included repeated readings of systolic pressure, diastolic pressure, and heart rate, with pulse pressure and mean arterial pressure calculated from them. Measurements were taken from both arms, using validated Omron blood pressure measurement devices. This was not obsession, it was telemetry. Telemetry means continuous time series data, not occasional readings. Dense sampling reveals what sparse data hides: volatility, spike size, and spike speed. The rate of pressure change over time, dPdt, matters more than the average. These spikes are where survival is decided. My 2025 stroke. A single peak, not a bad average. My stroke illustrates why averages fail. I was not a chronic hypertension patient. Over coast 15 years, my averaged blood pressure were acceptable. The stroke occurred because of a single acute spike to 175 mm of mercury on June 21, 2025. That spike ruptured a calcified microvessel in the brainstem region. The vessel had already endured decades of metabolic stress and cyclic loading from my diabetes condition. In engineering terms, the material had transitioned from elastic to brittle. From a statistical view, the 175 mm of mercury reading was a minor outlier. From a mechanical view, it exceeded the ultimate strength of the structure of that particular vessel. Averaging removes 3 critical signals: peak magnitude, rate of change, and timing relative to structural weakness. What remains looks harmless, but the damage has already occurred. Why I treat outliers as signals. My research methodology refuses smoothing. I treat outliers as warnings, not noise. In a jet engine, a microscopic crack matters more than the average thickness of metal. In the brain, a single calcified vessel matters more than population statistics. This approach comes from my engineering lineage. My MIT mentor, Professor Norman Jones, introduced Isaac Newton's viscosity concept into solid mechanics around 1965 to explain permanent deformation under impact. Those ideas later enabled safer jumbo jet aircraft design. I apply the same thinking to human pathophysiology since 2010. Both engineering and medicine fail at their weakest point. Ignoring extremity cases does not make systems safer. It makes failures invisible until they occur. System stability over optimization. Once vessels stiffen or calcify, damage is largely irreversible. The goal is not optimization, it is stability and safety. Longevity is the widening of the safety margin between daily operating stress and catastrophic failure. This requires fewer pressure spikes, slower pressure changes, low strain rate, and lower cumulative energy load. It means prioritizing sleep, fasting, hydration, emotional control, and gentle consistency over aggressive performance. This is fatigue management, not repair. Conclusion: failure-aware medicine. I do not ask medicine to abandon statistics. I ask it to recognize their limits. Statistics serve populations. Physics-based research models protect individuals who are statistically safe, but mechanically fragile. My data, my stroke, and my longitudinal records function like a flight recorder in an airplane. They explain why failure occurred and how it might be avoided next time. This distinction matters. It is the difference between comfort reporting and survival analysis. I share this work not for recognition, but because ignoring failure mechanisms costs lives. Words for the future. At 79 years old, my energy is limited. If I were younger, I would convert these methods into fully automated medical AI systems. My vision is AI that estimates failure probability, not just averages. If a system could say, your current strain rate raises rupture risk today, behavior might change. This is where AI can truly help patients, not by reassurance, but by warning. Disclaimer: I write this article not for fame, but to share what I have learned, so others can understand complex systems, prevent failure, and live better lives. This content is for educational reference only, and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this article freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights belong to the author, Gerald C Hsu.